There's no avoiding people. Hey guys, I am getting ready to do a bliss talk, and I'm trying to figure out how to invite my good friend T Walker. Hey, what's up? I'm going live with T Walker, guys. We are going to be doing a live episode of Bliss Talk. We're going to be checking in with each other, seeing how we're doing, like during the quarantine right now, and maybe we can get some advice on how we should go about being productive during these rough times. I'm actually trying to telecommunicate with him right now so he can get on the live with us. Bear with me. How y'all doing? Maybe he'll be here in a second. I promise we're going to get started once he enters the chat. I just spoke to him like 2 seconds ago, and he said that he was going to grab something to drink, which is definitely understandable because, I got my drink. Normally says how many people's in the chat. Hey, Kev. How are you? It's been so freaking long, man. I'm getting ready to do this live bliss talk, so if you stick around, we're just going to be talking. I'm going to be hitting up my friend T Walker. He's a musician and lyricist, and it's been rough for artists out here, especially local artists, because some people, like my friend T Walker, they depend on having shows like regularly. So I'm checking in to see how he's doing, how he's staying productive during these tough times, if he ever shows up. There he is. Okay, so I think there's a button that you have to press, T, where you say join my live or something like that. Ask for permission to join live. Do you see it? Says connecting. There we go.
Live.
We made progress.
Yes, we have. It's taken some time, but
It
here we
did.
are.
What are you sipping on over there?
Just some guava mango juice. Just chilling. Just finished making some rasta pasta. I was in the middle of cooking when you hit me the first time.
Right, right. I
So,
saw that. You were cooking it up in the kitchen.
a little something,
Looked like you
What
knew what you was doing just a little bit.
I know a little something, and I was just trying out something new, so
Right.
yeah. What's the movement? What you sipping on?
I'm actually got some tequila in my cup. I wasn't gonna tell nobody, but since you asked,
I mean,
definitely some tequila in my cup.
a
It's
nice
Friday.
groove, a good Friday to me, sport. Be more specific.
Right. It is Good Friday. I was off today too. I've been chilling. But
So
maybe
what you got going on? What's this we got going on here?
so this is Bliss Talk live, quarantine
Hmm.
edition. Um, my show Bliss Talk, for those of you who don't know, is I kind of put together like a motivational talk where I invite people who inspire me, who influence me, and I talk to them. I pick their brains and I learned little things about them as to how they build, learn, aspire, collaborate with each other, and what type of keys they use in order to be successful, in order to continue to do what they do. Now, me,
So who have we had on the show so far? Who has been your favorite guest that we've had on the show so far?
So you were my first guest, of course,
Hmm.
and that was freaking amazing. And then we had LB the poet. We had LB the poet. Um, that was, I think we talked about this yesterday. That was one of my favorites
Hmm.
so far. And then we had Josephus. We also had the artist block on there too, which is really dope. 3 women, black owned business owners. I
Hmm.
was so glad that they agreed to be on my show. I feel
What's
so
something you like?
lucky.
What you pick up from that interview? Like, would you gain? What was your pluses?
From which interview?
The one with the artist block.
The one with the artist block, the main thing that I picked up from them was, the struggle. Like, I had no idea that they struggled that much to get started with the artist block.
Hmm.
Um, uh, she had mentioned financial struggles, and to this day, that's something you have to be mindful of. Like, when you start a business, it's not going to always be like, always in the green. You're going to reach
Right.
points where you're going to be in the red. And so that was just like an eye opener, something to think about, going forward with my business and my endeavors that I want to do. So
What is the name? What is the name of your business?
the name of my business is OLP GSO Ally Productions Greensboro. So
No doubt, no doubt.
yeah.
So like, what kind of movements are going on within OLP? During quarantine, how you keeping your boat floating?
So what I did was I reached out to my DJ who's been with me from the beginning. And I thought this would be a really cool opportunity for him to hop on the live and showcase his skills, because people don't really realize, like, they don't know, like, my team members like I do. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, I know how dedicated they are to the cause. Like, they're just as much dedicated to the cause that I am. And that's very rare to find people that work with you like that and are driven.
Hmm.
Sometimes you get people on board and they just like, they're so excited to be a part of it in the beginning, but then they slack off. And it's
Hmm.
never been that with my team. My team, they love putting projects together with me. They love um, coming up with ideas on how we can make thinking out loud better. So I feel really blessed in that matter. So with Q, like I said, I wanted to highlight his skills because he's an awesome DJ as well. And I was
Hmm.
inspired by, how DJ Nice was getting on the ones and twos. And,
Hmm.
and I was like, yo, we got a DJ and he can get up there too. So I put on we put on like a live like for about 2 hours, and I tried to invite all the local artists. I tried to give them as much information about Q, because a lot of
Hmm.
people, like, they're not going to really tune in if they don't know much about you. It's like, who is this, who is DJ Q
Hmm.
the Sound? So I tried to put up a little video so people know, like, this man, he comes in every second Friday for the sole purpose of supporting local artists. He puts
Hmm.
his stuff up together by himself. We offer to help him. He's like, nah, I'm good. Y'all good. Like, so
Right.
sweet, so selfless. You know what I mean? And he
Yeah.
deserves to be supported. So, yeah.
I mean, this is the perfect time for discovery at the same time,
Right.
so people at home looking for something new, looking for somebody to discover, somebody else to, be a part of their journey at the same time. So I just know for me personally, I'm staying creative.
Right. And
So, you know what I mean? Nah, go ahead. What was you about to say?
I was about to say, I see that you have like the same people on your team. I always see you with the same circle of people as well. You
Hmm.
guys work really well together.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about being so blessed to have a team like that?
I mean, I know that
How
I'm
do you
very
find these people?
attraction, being in the right spaces, I guess carrying heavy energy, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, that's for real, you know what I mean? Of course, born king, we brothers. Well, that's my first cousin, and then, everybody that I meet that really becomes tribe, it's a family thing. It becomes just a full extension of, you know what I'm saying, what is being built, which is why Soul Society was founded. It was something me and my brother founded together, but for sure it's created like so that other people feel like they are a part of it.
Hmm.
At the same time, it's soul society. So if we connected, if we in alignment in a soul way, then we going, you know what I mean, present the same energy right back at you if that's what you presenting to us, and we just keep gonna keep that in rotation. So everybody that you see around me, that you see me with on a consistent basis, rather, like it's tribe, it's family. You know what I mean? So like it's deeper than like, shows, you know what I mean? We
Right.
breaking bread together, we gonna be or are in a part of like each other's children's lives, family lives. So it's all it flows so organically that it ain't even hard or difficult. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I'm just grateful for it.
I'm glad that you said that. Like, as far as making people feel connected with you,
Hmm.
that law of attraction, because
Yeah,
as a leader, you have to know how to communicate with the group of people around you. You know what I mean? And
for
it's
sure.
it's it's definitely more so democracy. We're all leaders. Like I always say with my team, like we're all CEOs of
Hmm.
different spaces. And we just come together to collaborate. It's a collaboration.
Yeah.
But also I like to make sure that when I see something that my team is doing really, really well,
Hmm.
congratulating them on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Saying, I love how you did that. I really like that idea. I really like how you contributed to, what we had going on a specific day. And so
Right.
I think that's very important too, that communication with your team.
How was it to have like your mom, you know what I'm saying, pulling up to all your events and being super supportive? Because I noticed like some people might have a journey where their parents aren't included or might try to discourage them, you know what I'm saying, even at this level or at before they even made it to a certain space. So how was it to have her in your corner supporting your business and your experiences that you create?
Um, it's been really nice to see her out at the Bliss Talks. Really, really nice.
Hmm.
I always make sure I send her an invitation. Um, I think it's important for her to know what's going on with me and what's important to me right now as I'm growing up. I'm not
Hmm.
her little girl anymore. I mean, I'm always going to be her little girl, but
Right.
I think it's important for her to know how I'm trying to advance. My mom has always been super supportive. Like when I started making my own like videos and vlogging and stuff like that. At
Hmm.
one point when I was working on my I Am Female project, which was my first album that I ever put out,
Hmm.
I had videos collected on like some storage and then they got deleted. And so I'm like sobbing at my computer, like, where are these videos? Like I worked so hard on that stuff and where is it? And she saw me sobbing about it. And my mom, not knowing anything about technology at all, nothing. She's like, baby, well, did you try this? She was
Hmm.
like trying to go into all the folders and stuff. I'm like, Mom, it's gone forever. But for her to see like how passionate I am about things and then just want to help even though she doesn't know how, like that was so touching. Like that
Hmm.
really warmed my heart. So yeah.
I dig it.
Yeah.
So we got a special guest that's coming through today, for this quarantine version of Bliss Talk, right?
Yes.
So hold on. So
Mr.
what are you
V
officially
Rock.
calling this? What are you officially calling this? What are you officially coining this? And then when you
Um,
figure that out, after you say it, I need you to type it and put the cash app. You know what I mean? So it can be pinned. So anybody that, what I'm saying, wanna send some bread over to Bliss Talk, for anything that might happen in the future or just to support, what I'm saying, what you building, it'll be right there. So whatever you're gonna call it and then whatever the cash app is. So what is this called?
facts. So I was thinking that, and y'all who are still here with us, you can help us out with this too, with the title. You can like type it in there so I can see. But I don't know. They got, Will Smith has like a quarantine edition. He's calling it what is it called? At Home with Will, or Will at Home, or
I haven't seen it. I would definitely tap in though.
Will
I
at
rock with Will.
Home, or Quarantine Edition, or
Hmm.
um
I'm seeing a lot of thunderbolts in these comments. I
I
appreciate y'all.
know, Heavy Energy.
You dig?
The foundation has joined. Hey, you guys.
Yes,
Take
brother AJ.
hello to everybody that's joining us right now. I appreciate the love and the support. But I don't know. What are you thinking as far as
I
names?
mean, Bliss Talk Corona Conversations, Quarantine Edition. I don't know. Those are the only two that's really catching me right now. I mean, because it's still Bliss Talk, and I think the name Bliss Talk should still like be in it.
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing. So it looks like we both said Bliss Talk Quarantine Edition. So there goes.
Bet, throw that up there along
I'm,
with the Cash App.
I'm looking for Mr. B Rock. I'm gonna go ahead and send him an invitation so he can be in here when we're
Yeah,
ready
send
for
that.
him to come in here.
Yeah, so all y'all, anybody that doesn't know B Rock, he's a phenomenal poet from what is it, Baltimore? Or is he Washington, D.C.? He's Baltimore.
He was in Greensboro for a while and then he moved to Atlanta. So
Yeah, well, I was just thinking of like where he's originally from, because I mean his journey is from the DMV area to Greensboro
Mhm.
to now being in Atlanta, you know what I mean? And those are major markets, you know what I mean? Greensboro, you know what I'm saying, the market of you surrounded by black colleges, which I'm sure shaped his experience in a number of different ways. Being from Baltimore is a whole nother type of experience, but now being in Atlanta where it's like
Right.
a mecca so having come from an area, I know Baltimore, DC was Chocolate City, but you know what I mean, Baltimore being right there and having some of that spillage of energy, and now being in Atlanta and doing his thing as a poet, like I think, you know what I'm saying, just knowing that part of his journey like is very dope. So like anybody that doesn't know B Rock, he's a very, very, very dope artist, you know what I mean, a very dope creator, because not only is he a poet, he creates experience as well, where you not only his work, but to experience others as well. And I mean, I don't take it lightly when people create experiences, because being a creator of experiences or being somebody that enjoys the experiences that people create. Like I really look at everything that's going on and the environment, that's set in the tone that's set for people that come on stage. So I'm excited to, see because we haven't like chopped it up, I guess maybe in like a few months, in
Yeah.
person or something like that. So like I'm interested in seeing what y'all chop it up about today,
Right.
on this quarantine edition of Bliss Talk.
Because B Rock has an interesting story too. Because there was one time I was on his stories on Instagram,
Hmm.
and he was saying how he had to do a lot of smiling, even though it wasn't all good, you know. And so that move from Greensboro had to have been very, traumatic in some ways and
Hmm.
different. So I want to dive in that somewhat tonight about what that experience was like. So
For sure. What's your cash app?
um let's do OLPGSO right now.
All right, OLPGSO, just all one word, no spaces or anything.
Let's see. Hold on. I don't tell you wrong.
For sure. Cyclone, we up on it.
Yeah, it's
I
all one
did.
word.
All
Try
right,
that.
boom.
So yeah, I sent him the invitation. Hopefully he joins us soon.
Oh yeah, you have to pin my comment. I was trying to pin my own comment. You got to pin the comment so that it sticks. And anybody that joins can see that and make a donation if they want to. Definitely appreciate everybody that's here, that's tapped in. Bliss Talk is something we kicked off a few months ago. You know what I mean? We just had the idea. Actually, she was trying to set me up to do a TED talk. And I was like, how about we just set this up as like an interview, and then this continues as a continuous experience where a number of different people come through as an interview, because I think that give it a little bit more longevity. And I didn't know about doing the TED talk part yet, but I thought it would be dope to, have a conversation. And here we are. You know what I mean? We
Here
joined
we
forces
are.
to bring something really dope. So anybody that's just now tapping in, stay tuned. There's gonna be a couple more Bliss talks coming. Um, so definitely follow C Bliss underscore pics, myself, T Walker NC, on everything from Snapchat to Cash App and everything in between. You
Right.
dig what I'm saying? So is he in here? Did you send him a
I did send him something. So
uh
I know he said that it's 7:30. So that gives us plenty of time to still chop it up with each other.
yeah,
Um,
for sure. I see Ashley, you know what I mean, is in here from so far Portland.
hey, hey,
Appreciate you for
hey.
tapping in. Soul Society in the building. If y'all, you know what I mean, want to dive a little deeper, Soul Society NC, you'll be seeing some really dope, interviews from my brother. Be doing some interviews up there. We'll be up there together sometimes. And he'll just be, doing different talks about life, about the expansion of the mind ultimately. So if you know want to tap in, as well as with my brother D Foundation. What's
Mhm.
happening? My brother Nerd Nash just joined, you know. So if y'all, you know, tapping in the podcast, definitely tap into the church for the Wild podcast. Um, and a part of it, you know, the Plums Radio edition just came out with my homegirl Mies, and DJ No Answer. My song Lost in Thought was just featured up there, you know, so I'm grateful to be, you know, what I mean, part of that. That's part of my extended Delaware family from some time I
Yeah,
spent up there just running around and doing music and, you know, being creative.
that's so dope. So yesterday we talked about your 10 things you got going on. And
Yeah, we just stuck with the number 10. That was the one we could throw out there because I don't even know how to count the number of things. Some of them branch off.
I I want us to go over that again because people need to
Mm,
hear like what is we need some background history as to why do you go so hard? Why do you have 10 things that you're working on once? Do you think you're crazy at this point or do you think it's like a driven thing? What's going on? What's going on?
Part of it is like sometimes I don't know how to focus on just one thing, you know. So if ever I feel a creative drain in one area, I make sure I find that energy in another area to keep the momentum going so I don't ever just find myself stagnant. So if I'm like, all right, boom, I'm burnt out writing this book right now. Let me move on to some music and maybe write some music. But if I feel like I'm just burnt out on writing, period, then
Hmm.
I'm like, all right, let me figure out the next thing. So that's how I start creating experiences. Or when I'm done with recording music, then I'm like, all right, now I have to create a tour. So I get joy out of creating tours and putting together a 2, 3 month tour, you know, and like figuring out how I'm gonna make it work, you know.
So,
So that's part of the background why I have multiple different things going on. And then like my goal is to just create so many different streams of income, you know, that like maybe only 300 a month comes from here, maybe 3,000 comes from over
mhm,
here, maybe only 30 comes from here. And that might be the one thing that just pays for my website, you
right.
know, so boom, so keep that going so that it pay for my website. But I don't, that's why I like shoot so many shots, you know, and I might grab a rebound here, this one might swish, and then I'm like, all right, cool, that's how I shoot from that angle. I don't know, that's how I think,
That's how you
you
think.
know.
Okay,
Yeah,
makes sense. I'm glad you broke it down. So,
yeah.
when we talked to Josephus, he was talking about how focusing on one thing and just keep going with it, doing it over and over and over again. What
Hmm.
did you feel about that comment? How did you feel about that?
Um, I mean, I think it works. You know what I mean? I mean, now it depends on whatever that one thing is and how you feel about it. Me, I can get burnt out on trying the same thing over and over again, so I'm gonna need to switch it up. It just depends on who you are, and sometimes certain things work because it worked for you. So if
Right.
he had his one thing that worked and he was able to like keep it going like that, I respect it. You know what I mean? Because like the one thing that's worked for me is music. You know, now I just have to figure out the next levels to take it. That's all. That's been my door into so many spaces.
Yeah,
My walk into what we doing right now, music got me here. We connected music first. You
exactly.
know, like me getting on poetry stages was music first. Me doing a TED talk in Charlotte about gentrification with my music video was music first. Me
Hmm.
doing art galleries was music first. So that one thing, I'm definitely sticking with that, but I'm allowing it to branch and try other things. But I mean, you know, it's about how your brain works.
Right.
I get bored, you know, doing one thing. So I gotta, you know what I mean, switch it up.
Absolutely. So I had listened to a TED talk today, and it was talking about being comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Hmm.
And it really resonated with me because like I talk about on some of the bliss talks that we have, I've been really finding my voice, knowing when to say no to something, knowing when to speak up if I don't agree with something, and I
Hmm.
think that when you're a young professional, you may not feel comfortable with giving your feedback because you're trying to fill out the culture of what's going on. You're trying to fill out the environment and things of
Hmm.
that nature, even though what you're saying is honest and even though it might progress the organization. So, how do you feel about that?
What exactly though? Like about like giving my opinion or giving like feedback?
Giving feedback, giving your opinion.
I mean, if you
Well,
ask
you
me
work with a
for it,
lot of people, so.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask me for it, I mean, I don't mind giving it. I don't always just offer it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very particular about where I just like offer my words, sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
especially like amongst groups. Now, if I'm amongst my tribe, then like I'm comfortable like giving my feedback, but a lot of times we asking each other.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm good with it. Matter of fact, me and Kiba were just, having some dialogue this morning on something he sent me, and I was like, bet, you know what I mean? Because we got a connection. So I don't mind. Like, you need this feedback? Let me give you this feedback. And he's a very dope artist. So I'm like grateful, you know what I'm saying, that he appreciates my opinion.
Right.
So I don't take it lightly if people want my feedback. But
Okay.
I also ain't always just offering the shit. Nope.
Right.
Eh.
Right.
What about you though? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you just like offer your opinion? Do you wait people to ask for it? Like, what's your process with that?
Um, for me, it's more so circled around like how I want to carry my energy, or how I want
Hmm.
to maintain my energy, you know.
Hmm.
So I feel like when something isn't right, it's not like you're being rude or anything like that. It's just speaking on it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So I feel like that's become super important, something that I have to keep at the top of mind, that it's okay if this is not for you, or vice versa. If it is for you, speak on that too, so people
Hmm.
know. So she also talked about being the domino effect in this TED talk, like um, you being that person to fall or speak up first, and it creates a domino effect because maybe everyone in that group was thinking the same thing, but you were
Hmm.
the first person to say, "Hey, um, y'all sure about this?"
Hmm.
Does that make sense? And I
Yeah,
think
for
that,
sure. I mean, I've experienced it. I've seen it. I've seen how like you can feel energy, but it takes for somebody else to be like, "Hey, I don't like that," or "Hey, maybe we should add this." For
right,
other people to be like, "Yeah, I think we should do that," And sometimes I've been the person to break the ice. Sometimes I've had the same feeling as people in the room, and maybe I just didn't feel like my opinion was even needed. But
mm,
I saw the result of somebody else like voicing
right,
it and then everybody else being like, "Hey, hey, hey," and I'm like, "All right, I guess everybody needed that."
right,
I didn't
right,
really care, but like I see that everybody else,
right.
So I mean, it make you even think of that sometimes of like if you can recognize that energy, and if you
Hmm.
one of them brave people that don't mind, which I don't mind, then maybe you just go ahead and voice it so that domino effect can occur.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, man. It was a very inspiring TED talk. I'll have to send that to you.
What
Um,
about the uncomfortable spaces though? Like, how do you feel about what she said about the uncomfortable spaces?
you know what? She did a lot of referencing to different scenarios where she allowed herself to be afraid and just
Hmm.
conquer it. Like she said, one of those experiences were diving off of a plane or whatever.
Hmm.
She was like, I don't understand why I did it. I have no clue or whatever. And I was like getting ready to fall. And I'm just like, oh, Jesus, why did I do this? And then she got to a point where she was flying and she could see the entire, like, it was like she was looking at the world from so far high, and it was like super beautiful. And she was like,
Hmm.
this whole entire time I was so fearful of this, but it was so worth it to see how beautiful everything looks from that high up.
Hmm.
And so many times we find ourselves not wanting to get into this uncomfortable position, but
So what's been a beneficial uncomfortable space for you that you've been in?
this.
And have you ever created and okay, so is this I guess another uncomfortable space you've created at the same time?
Absolutely. I am shy, T. I am super shy. So getting on live, talking to people, getting like even when it went from just a live to us actually in a venue,
Hmm.
and then me having to talk to people and try to keep them engaged, that's a lot of anxiety. But I get a lot of feedback from the Bliss Talks, and people are saying how much, they appreciate that I spoke up about certain things, or they actually took the keys that I give to them and they're just like, wow, I never thought about it this way.
Hmm.
So in that situation, yes, I'm fearful about doing these. I get anxious, I get a little butterflies in my stomach every time I do it, but it's so worth it.
it's definitely much different to me than like being on a stage, which probably sometimes should probably be like crazier. Because
Mm-hmm.
like I mean, you can have like three viewers on this and be in front of a camera or like 30. Some of the stages I've been on, like the crowd is crazy. You know what I mean? But that doesn't necessarily make me nervous. One thing it's made me do is study comedians deeper. You know what I'm saying? And I haven't like studied them as intricately as I could. But like as rappers, like we or musicians, period, we could just allow the music to play and perform all night and only say a bare minimum amount of things in between songs. Because I've like seen that with so many artists, they don't have to make a genuine connection with the crowd.
Right.
Comedians have to do that. They don't have music. And
Right.
like their goal is to make people funny. So they if they bomb, you know what I'm saying, they have to keep it going. So I like how they carry a tune and are able to maintain stage presence within. That's something I really like look at with comedians, but then even with people that can hold the camera in front of them, like people that like do their motivational thing through the phone, and I'm like, that's interesting, like. But I mean, even having like performed live, via Instagram or Facebook, and you don't have the crowd, so now it's not people to engage with, so. But I mean, it's been another thing that I'm like, all right, this it showed me something different within myself as a performer, as far as like carrying a stream of energy,
Mm-hmm.
all the way through from start to finish. You know what I mean? Even if there are distractions or whatever the case may be. But I like the idea of uncomfortable spaces. You know what I mean?
So what
I
was it
like
like
the,
when you were uncomfortable and how did that go?
I mean, I created like with, I mean, I created daily, not necessarily in my daily life, but like when I come up with a song that I haven't even recorded yet, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try this out on stage. I ain't even recorded the song, so I don't have no background vocals. I haven't even had a chance to listen to myself on this over and over again. But I'll try a new song out just like that, just to be like, all right, now I have to. What if I forget these lyrics?
Mm-hmm.
And I've done that before, but like I freestyle and rap to myself so much that like I use that as an opportunity to continue on in the stream. So I'll challenge myself in those type of ways. Or anytime I put together a tour, like because I don't have no crazy backing. I don't have, people dumping like thousands of dollars into me. So like I have to like make it happen. And and sometimes it's like, all right, I got these 12 dates prepared. I got the band coming with me. So it's like let me make sure I have to have a lot of things in order. You know what I'm saying? Other people to like take care of, not just myself.
Exactly.
So like it's a position where I'm like, but I have to meet it. So sometimes like I like the idea of people setting ridiculous goals because if you really about accomplishing the goal, you're gonna get it done. So
Mm-hmm.
like, which is another reason why like sometimes I just have like 10 things going on because I'm
Right.
just like, all right, oh yeah, this is my next idea, but I got to get to it at some point.
Let's talk about the satisfaction of getting things done. Okay. I
Mm-hmm.
get such a buzz when I get stuff done. I
Mm-hmm.
think when you were over here, I was showing you my to do list and I was like, yeah, I knocked that out. And you just looked
Mm-hmm.
like, okay. But I was super excited about it. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, what in particular though? Like, what you how?
Like a project, like from start to finish. How did you feel? Like, talk about the growing pains of starting something and maybe not seeing the light, but getting through it. Like, what's that like? Describe it to the people so they can get some motivation out of it.
Um, I'll just say like, let's say like a United States of Affliction. Strict that was strictly for my niggas. Act Two, the United States of Affliction,
Mm-hmm.
and within that, I had, let's see, one song that I had recorded in the process of Act One, which was Black Girl Juice. So I had that song in the stash. I had a couple other songs recorded. Then there was a halt in my recording phase,
Mm-hmm.
but I started finding like every once in a while I do things in like crazy streaks and sparks. So like if you were to ever see my recording process, I might be recording like three songs at once.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back into like if I get drained out of a certain thing, then I'm gonna save that, pull up the next song, do some recording, add some vocals to it, and it might be a pocket that I caught in something else that
Mm-hmm.
I like that I get into in this next thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then so like I get a satisfaction out of completing a trio of
Mm,
songs like that. You know what I mean? Because then like they're almost always all done at the same time. So I mix them down, get the ride to them, but it gave me a brighter perspective on like where the project was going.
right.
And then I had another part of the satisfaction was like just having certain conversations with people that's in alignment with you. I had
Mhm.
a conversation with Morgan about the album, what like the full concept was.
Right.
And the next day she had written a poem and sent it to me. And I
Mm,
was like, that's going on the album. Finish that poem. I'm gonna make sure we get a beat behind it and make it happen, you know. So like and it got so but it gave me a bright I mean, it allowed me to see the light at the end of the tunnel because I'm like, these pieces are falling together.
right.
And it's my tribe
Right.
being included. And some of the final stages where like I recorded a song with Ivory Child, had Debbie come through who was supposed to be on another song. She ended up just being on a skit. And just the creation process of mixing the music and hearing all of these vocals that I collected and
Right.
then making them sound like beautiful and going and taking a collection of songs and riding to them and being like, all right, nah, this song needs to be placed here. Nah, this song needs to be placed here. This what else is needed. Kane, can you send me some vocals? I need this. You
Mm,
know, and then like doing all these type of things until it feels like this is it. And
yeah.
that's satisfaction.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that. When I was doing the I Am Female album, there was like so many like hiccups as far as like going back and forth to the studio and that popping in the background. And I had
Hmm.
to use my grapple and grit to work with my producer at the time and say, can we get this? Can we get it out, please? Can we just get that? I don't like that noise in there. And so he eventually was like, all right, we're gonna work on it. We're gonna get the popping
What's
noise.
up with a live concert though? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like now that we here on live, you know, I asked you yesterday, like, would you do a live concert? And I think you just, you know, you don't know who's listening, you know, you don't know who's gonna tune in, you know, who's what ear is gonna be in there, you don't know who might want to send you something. I think you should just shoot your shot and do one.
Yeah, about that. So when you said that yesterday, Dante took it upon herself to make a post on Facebook.
That
And
you
we
doing a
talked,
live show?
yes. Did you see the
Bet.
post?
I didn't.
Okay, so yeah, she took it upon herself to put that on there. So now I feel like I am obligated to do one. So
Yeah.
who knows? We'll get one. Are you gonna tune in for the live show?
Just let me know when it is. I mean, shit, I'm gonna probably be home,
Okay.
you know, like everybody else.
All right. Well, there's your answer for that.
Yeah, I'll be tuned in.
All right. What else we got on this list to talk about? I hope you guys are enjoying the live. I see a lot of loving coming from people. I see some
Hmm.
comments here. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being
Focus
with us.
on being
We
free.
even got a donation the to OLPGSO for the Bliss Talk
Dig that.
Quarantine Edition. Thank you
Groovy.
guys so much. I'm not sure who sent it, but I appreciate you. Let's
She
see.
has so many questions. What kind of questions do you have?
Yes, man. Oh, this is the beautiful person I met while I was in Maryland.
Okay.
And yes, ma'am. Ask your questions. She's like gorgeous. And then I'm like, I followed her on Instagram. And then I see like beautiful picture after beautiful picture. I'm like, yes, honey, she gives me life.
How did y'all meet?
So I think I was heading to a show in Maryland, and I was getting on a train. I think it was a train. I think I'm I think I'm right. I think it was the train that we were about to get on, and she sat down next to me, and we just started talking because we were waiting on the train and stuff. And she told me that she does modeling, and I told her that I sing because I think I had my guitar with me. So she was asking about that, and I played her one of my videos of me singing, and we just connected like that. She seems so cool. I didn't see you
Nice.
post your question, boo. We want to hear from you.
The guitar is a good conversation starter. That's how I met a guitar player
Right,
in Portland, flying back to North Carolina. And then from
right,
there started meeting a couple other amazing people that I had a guy from Brazil who was staying in my Airbnb that was a bass guitar player that hadn't played the bass guitar in 7 years. But
right.
while we were smoking, I asked him, I was like, what do you do? What are you passionate about? I am the person who gets overwhelmed easily, and I find it hard to stay motivated. Do you stay motivated by staying busy? No. I mean, and I attempt it. So this is just my personal answer. I attempt it by staying busy sometimes, and then sometimes I just find out that nah, I just need to take a break and like enjoy something. You know,
Mhm.
like simple as that. Like whether it's catching up on a Netflix series, whether it's going to the park and just laying on my back and staring at the sky or the trees, you know, and the
Yeah.
birds that's in the trees, or just taking a drive. So like nah, being busy don't always keep me motivated. Sometimes it drains me even further and frustrates me even much more deeply because like within if the overwhelming feeling sometimes unless it's like before I'm about to go on stage, that's just energy I can use to burn like fuel. Other than that, I just need to take time to shake that off, you know what I mean, and get back into my creative space. I don't like creating out of that type of energy.
That was a really good question. Like for me, I get overwhelmed, but that's natural. You're going to get overwhelmed, especially if you're working hard. But one of the things I do like to do is treat myself. Like, and then, that treat just is me using love language to myself, saying that you're doing well. You know what I mean? Keep
Hmm.
going. You've accomplished a lot and you deserve like a drink tonight. You deserve to hang out a little bit tonight. So you got to have
Hmm.
that balance. And we talked about this yesterday, that balance. Because you want to be able to create memories and things of that nature.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That was a good question. Anybody else got some questions that
It was a great question.
we can answer?
It was something I had to, think about for myself.
Yeah. Yes. So let's see.
How do you reach that level of vulnerability in order to share your music with others? You want to answer that first, or you want me to kick it?
I can answer that. For me, when I I've always been kind of like a timid person. And so with me it was just doing it over and over and over again, getting on that stage over and over and over again. The first time I ever got on the mic, I sucked. I sucked ass, if I'm being frank with you.
Hmm.
It was really bad. So you got to open yourself up to just accept that it's not going to be perfect on your first couple of tries. You'd be surprised at
Yeah, for me it was.
practice and repetition getting in front of people um, gets you to the point where you're not ever going to be like totally without the butterflies, but you get to a point where you're creating that energy on the stage where um, because when you're doing these songs or you're doing this poetry, it's because you are trying to paint a audio picture of what's going on in your head, right?
Mhm.
So that's a frequency, and you're just trying to share that frequency with others. So that's the way I kind of look at it. What about you?
Um, Definitely like your answer, it came with repetition, just doing it over and over again. Part of it, because I was doing like music underground, like as far as like people not even knowing for so long, and then like I just jumped out there, and started doing all these shows. What took it to a next level for me as far as the vulnerability and as a performer was like when my mom and my dad both individually found out that I was doing music and they liked it and enjoyed it. And what I got from that was like and I had kind of kept it from them, my entire family, but
Mm-hmm.
once people that I was like keeping things from and was kind of like super worried about their opinions, once they like began to hear it and like I got a little bit more confidence, you know what I mean? And I was able to do a little bit more as far as like my wordplay, you know what I mean, and things that I would discuss and talk about. Now there's still other levels, you know what I mean, that can be reached. But that was like a beginning step for me, being able to do it in front of people that I wouldn't even have done it for. And outside of what I was saying, that was strictly vulnerability for me, just to be able to like not even be nervous, and so that was one of those things. Definitely, you know what I'm saying, that thinking out loud project, you know what I mean? That was one of those things that my brother AJ just posted. Like people knew I did music, nobody really knew though. And then my dad discovered an iPod
Oh
of
yeah.
mine. And then him and my mom discussed it. And then my mom came to one of my shows. And the
Oh,
story continues.
that's what's up. I wanted to also say, going back to your question, how do you reach a level of vulnerability? It also has something to do with your environment. I talk about that a little bit
Yep.
in my bliss talks too. You want to make sure that you're in an environment where you feel comfortable. It goes
Hmm.
like back down to like our just basic human instincts to want to be safe.
Hmm.
So what do like animals do? They like people like animals that know that their predators are out there. They don't go out at night. They don't do this. They don't do that. So they like to
Hmm.
find a safe environment. And so until you can reach an expert level, it's good to go to like the open mics. Like my open mic, for example, is called Thinking Out Loud. I allow everyone to hit the stage and just express themselves unapologetically. So if you mess up or if you say a curse word or if you're talking about something that you think people might not agree with you on, subjects like that, I just let it rip. That's a really, really safe environment. And then you have other open mics that offer that same thing as well. It's just depending on, you got to see which one is giving you the vibe that you need, if that makes sense.
For sure.
Yeah.
So my brother AJ said, talk about the comfortability of the Allegra Henderson space. So I have an EP on my website available called Allegra Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it was interesting how I even formed the title of that project because people think that Allegra is a real person, but the Henderson is the last name of a real person. And Allegra is this medicine commercial that used to come on all the time in the process of recording the project. And I didn't want to use any real person's first name. Not that Allegra's not a real person, but that's how the Allegra came.
Okay.
So I was also in the process of, I have an album called The Heart Gallery. And I was then creating another project called Muse, keeping it in the same line of the art space.
Mm-hmm.
And within that, I have recorded all these different songs about relationships and the things that had gone on within like the relationships, you know what I mean? And I had also created other songs that were going on within the world that I was in at that time, like where they were like they were on two totally different parallels on poles. They were polar opposite type of songs. So I separated them into a project called Static, one called Allegra Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
So they were both a very similar space of vulnerability because I was like talking about things that I didn't even think I would ever actually talk about out loud, but like I would be in my apartment just creating, you know what I mean, and just recording. And then like that was my first time I felt like I experienced, or maybe like the second time. But my apartments are the places where I have the outer body experiences while I'm recording. Where like next thing you know, the song is done.
Right.
I started, the beat is dope, start some freestyles, go back to it, and then I get so lost in the mixing of it and how I want it to sound that like I don't even care what I'm saying anymore. I don't have a filter, so like all of the real is coming out. How I feel, some situations and things that I might not mention
Yeah.
come out. You know what I'm saying? And there were certain songs that didn't make these projects. You know what I mean? And I was like, all right, but these 10 can go. So it was a very like open space, and I was trying to find myself being much more open. So if anybody would like to know a little bit more
That's
about me
dope.
and some foundational things, those are two projects
That's
that would
dope.
be very, very cool for you.
I think anybody that works on music can definitely use some of those tips, like about you creating like a full body work. Some songs didn't make it on there, you know what I mean? And then even
Hmm.
how you created that name there, that's super creative. That's dope. Um,
Yeah.
but I I have one more thing I want to ask you before we kind of wrap things up. I don't see B Rock. I texted him. Maybe we can get back
Yo,
online
yo.
a bit later. But I actually wanted to ask you, you seem to be like a person that has mastered cutting out distractions. What is your formula? How do you do it? And is this something that you had to train your mind to do?
So I haven't mastered it.
Okay.
It's still something I work on. I get distracted. But sometimes what I'll do is like include my distractions.
Hmm.
So like, and I've learned that, you know what I'm saying? I guess I first noticed me incorporating it in like freestyling. you know, so like because like the eye just catches any random movement. So like I'll be freestyling and if my eye catches something, I'll use that as a topic and whatever I catch next. And it's comparable or parallel to distractions, you
Mm-hmm.
know, so like so I would sometimes while in the studio have to put my phone on airplane mode because I would get distracted by a text or a notification coming through.
Mm-hmm.
Now, enough, sometimes I would click and like when I used to be on Twitter a lot, I'll get a notification from Twitter. Boom, I'll look at it, and next thing I know, I'm not even still in the same place I was, but I might use something from that. So
Mm-hmm.
that was me including the distraction, you know what I mean,
Right.
to kind of get me back on track instead of just like staying distracted. Like, nope, let me get back focused, but I'm gonna use something from this distraction. You
Wow.
know, I include my distractions, in certain things. And then sometimes I know how to detach myself. I know how to detach myself from spaces, people, situations. So I know how to do it mentally, at the same time. And I don't know how I learned it. Honestly, I
Right.
think part of it is just in my makeup because my mom is like that. My dad is
I was getting
definitely
ready
like
to
that.
say, you know what that's called, right?
What is it
It,
called?
it's called a superpower. Because not
Oh,
everybody can do that.
I got it through genetics. My mom can do
Yes.
that and detach and be in her own space. My dad, now, if anybody has mastered it and probably in some unfortunate ways, but he's learned how to isolate.
Mm,
So like, and like I know how to like, and that isolation is me knocking out my distractions and getting back focused. But I turn my distractions into things. So that's why I have 10 things going on. Like most of my distractions come from another thought. You know what I'm saying? Like, ooh, I should do this.
mm.
Boom, let me create this pocket for that.
I turn my distraction into things. Hold up, wait a minute.
Gotta turn that into something. Turn that into something. Word
Turn
to Big Crit. What's
distraction.
your side story? I would love to know the side story. I was digging that the art video, that you had going on. Let me see. Oh yeah.
I was trying to write it quick so I could.
Turn them into things. But like, I mean, even that was even my idea. Like with this, I was like, all right, cool. If we gonna do this like conversation, let's turn it into something. Not that it was a distraction, but I'm always just trying to figure out how to turn something
Mm,
into something. So I'm like, let's take this further. Like we ain't gonna just interview me. You know what I mean? Let's bring in some other people. You know what I mean? It's a lot of different people to get some
right.
ideas and information from.
You know what it is though, T? I tried to reach out to some people that I think would do really well in Bliss Talk that I could really use some motivation from, and some of them they're just like, I'm not in any shape to get on the live right now. Like the Bears are cut down or
Uh-huh.
whatever's going on with them right now.
Oh, this the quarantine edition.
This is the quarantine edition.
Right.
Nobody is gonna judge you. I hope not. And if you do, you're a mean person.
Yeah, let me turn the light on in here.
But
And
yeah.
realize the sun was going down, so I'm in here all. I feel brighter. If the sun don't shine, I will.
So before we leave
Hmm.
our chat here, I want to hear from the people that stuck inside the live. A few of you just been hanging in there with us.
Yeah,
So
we got DJ OG1, you know what I mean, that just tapped in. He's a DJ out in Portland. He actually DJs for the Portland Trail Blazers, you know what I mean? So shout out to DJ OG1. Uh, I tapped into your live the other night while you were playing a couple, of the local artists, and I think it's really dope that you're doing that, and I just think it's dope what you're doing out there in Portland, period. So every time I come out there and we just so happen to run into each other, or you were DJing the show that I did with Cuddy Wampus, it's all been love. So I appreciate you for the vibes for sure.
right. Does anybody have anything they want to add to our talk here? Discuss a little bit, or tell us some your favorite moments of Bliss Talk, this Bliss Talk, or any other Bliss Talks that you've been to. We'd like to hear from you.
What's one of your favorite moments while we wait?
Right. Favorite moment. Um, favorite moment.
Also, what you should do is tap that live button at the top and see how much time is up there because once it gets to an hour, it's going to shut off. So that'll kind of give you a idea of how you want to gauge this thing.
What does 3.15 mean?
It says 3.15.
Yeah,
Like the number isn't changing.
no, it's not
I
changing.
don't even, shit, I don't know.
Well,
Can they help you there?
my favorite parts about the Bliss Talk, favorite parts, favorite parts, favorite parts. I have so many. I can't choose one right now.
Hmm. Well, we have a question here that says, I'm having so many different problems with singing, tone, pitch, stand, or key breathing. Any suggestions?
Having so many different problems with singing, tone, pitch, staying on key, breathing. Any suggestions? Um, what kind of songs are you? First of all, we have to know what kind of songs are you rehearsing, because staying on key is not an easy thing. Some of the best singers out there can't stay on key um, for the entire song, you know.
Hmm.
So, but the biggest thing is practice. If you just started getting back into singing, then it's going to be normal for you to be a little pitchy sometimes. So you have to practice, 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 practice. I can't say it enough. Practice. Like whenever I'm getting ready to do a show, especially like shows like where I know there's gonna be a lot of people there. Like I
Hmm.
try to run through my set like 5 times, the entire set though, straight through 5 times, so that as soon as I hit the stage, I'm not overthinking it. I just like it just becomes a muscle memory for my vocal cords.
I think one of the things that'll help that's like not even music is meditation and like cardio workouts. I feel like that'll help with your breathing, if anything, you know. And I don't know what type of performer you are, so I don't know if you're a standstill. I don't know if you do a lot of moving. I know I do a lot of moving around. I know singers that I've talked with that do a lot of moving around that say that like when they work out, they do a very heavy, not even heavy. Let me not say that, but they do focus on cardio to make sure their lung work is proper so that they can
Mhm.
focus on their breathing. And then with meditation, meditation is something that helps you focus on breathing as well. So, you know, in your nose, out with your mouth type of thing. And once that becomes like a routine, I think that will contribute to how you produce everything else. It becomes a natural flow. So those are two like non-music things I
Yeah.
think that will be of assistance.
Yeah, I agree. I've been in and out of chorus my entire life because I'm a singer,
Hmm.
and they would have us doing breathing techniques, and they would never tell us why we were doing these breathing things, but it
Hmm.
makes sense. It's a muscle memory. They're trying to build your muscle memory so
Hmm.
that you can just do it without thinking about it, if that makes sense.
Let me see. Who are some people you haven't interviewed yet for Bliss Talks that you want to? Who you want to sit down with? I know I want to. Well, I know this is somebody you probably want to interview as well as Mr. Dudley.
Oh yes, that's like our dream. Like we have that on our vision board for Bliss Talk. Like we really want to talk to
Yeah.
Mr. Dudley, and
Okay.
then I want to talk to Gerard. Of course, we had him um, down on our list. Like we have a whole list of people that we said we want
Yeah.
to
I want
interview.
to chop it with B Dot. Um,
Who do y'all think we
man,
should interview?
there's a lot of people that I want to interview. Some like I know you haven't heard of a Briz Rothstein, but he's a battle rapper. But I think his journey is interesting.
Guess what,
Um,
y'all? B Rock has entered the building.
yeah.
Hey, B Rock.
What it do? Well, so what might need to happen is I don't know how much longer you gonna have on this live. You
Okay.
might have to close and reopen. Because I think we started this at around like 7:55. So I mean, you know, we can chop it for about 5 more minutes and then we just bring this thing back up and
Right.
you know, get B Rock in here. Yes, definitely Briz. I think Briz will be dope because not only is he a battle rapper, but you know, he started something here in North Carolina, is out there in Delaware doing his thing. But I like, you know what I mean, just the impact of like his purpose. In a world full of Megan Thee Stallions and city girls, do you think it would be harder for me as an artist to break in the music industry as a modern day Lauryn Hill? No. It
No,
I
we're
think technology has like expanded so many things. And I mean, I think with technology, you just have access to who you want, when you want, how you want it. And it's people that want your style, want that type of music. So like it's a lot of like forget the even mainstream, you know, like it's a lot of underground artists. One of my favorite underground artists, she's not a singer, but like just in the same vein of not being mainstream, it's like 3D Nati. She's from New Orleans. And She's a super dope rapper. She ain't mainstream. She's smashing a lot of whoever you want to name, but her underground hustle is so crazy. You know what I mean? From her website to her shipping out her own merchandise, what I do and what a lot of independent artists are doing. What I'm saying is it's a lane, for that. Once you develop your fan base and people that's rocking with you, I mean, it's gonna rock. These people buying your CDs, your shirts. You don't even necessarily need the mainstream. You just need like your first 100 fans that's gonna buy your.
Man, we out here. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm such a dork. All right. Waiting for T Walker. Bam.
Yeah, yeah,
We back.
yeah.
So what were you saying before we got cut off? You like Cleo, you predicted that.
I don't know. It's just like it's a time. It's a space for everything. The Lauryn Hill vibe is needed. So just do your thing and build on it. It's space for everything. Basically, I think that's in the realm of what I was saying.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying before you got online. Yeah, I was saying that in the music industry, it's very competitive. However, they have different markets for what they need. Not everybody can be a Megan Thee Stallion. I feel like there's definitely a space, a void in the music industry where Lauren used to be. So I
Hmm.
say go for it. Follow your dreams.
Big time.
Yeah. So do you have any closing words for our conversation while we invite B Rock to the conversation?
Nah, y'all just stay up. I think we gonna be doing a lot more of these Bliss talks. So anybody that's following, that's tapped in, stay tapped in. If you not following me, I'm T Walker NC on everything from Snapchat to Cash App and everything in between. I'm looking forward to this talk with B Rock. You know what I'm saying? My spiritual brother, you know what I mean? Something that was developed during an event that we had, way back when we were giving, Morgan the Gate City Gatekeeper
Right.
award. It was a beautiful session. But I'm looking forward to seeing, in further discussion this journey and
Yeah.
everything that's going on. So I'm just looking forward to tap in. Anybody that don't know B Rock, you in for a treat. You're gonna want to follow him after this again. He's not just a poet, he's a journeyer, he's a creator of experiences. So if you have a notebook nearby, get ready to write some things down, because you're gonna need some of these gems. So that's all I got, all heavy energy.
And this was Bliss Talk Quarantine Edition with T Walker, the executive producer of Bliss Talk. And now we're going to ask B Rock to join the live.
Yeah, yeah. Let me hit this X.
Boop. So while we're waiting on Mr. B Rock, a brief explanation of what we're doing here. We are trying to share as much information that we know about building, learning, and inspiring and collaborating and the keys to success. We've been doing Bliss Talk for a total of maybe 4 months or so, something like that. No, we started last year, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, I think we started in March of last year. So over a year. So we do it every other month, where I get to sit down with community influencers right here in Greensboro. So people that have been on that grind, hustling, and just incredible what they do, where you see from the beginning to end of how they got to this position where they are now, where they're becoming legendary. Hey,
What up? What
speaking
up?
of legendary, oh my gosh, hey B Rock,
What's going on? What's going on?
how are you doing, man?
Man, we out here, yo.
We
Yeah,
out
we out.
here.
What up? What up, Bliss? Yo,
I
what's
know.
going on?
So man, why out here? Are we still in Atlanta?
Oh yeah, yeah. By way of A, you know what I'm saying? Born and raised in B-More.
Right.
Found my manhood in North Cac. Found my
Absolutely.
passion and found everything in North Cac, and
Yeah.
then capitalizing here in Atlanta.
Absolutely. I wanted to get you on the line. Like I said, I like to invite people that inspire me, that motivate me and that I feel I can learn something from. I like picking people's brains that I think are really smart and legendary. And as you can see, I said, speaking of legendary, and then you popped up on my Instagram live. So I just got a few questions for you. I'm not going to hold you too long. I wanted to check in with you. I wanted to check your temperature and see how you're doing out there in Atlanta. Do you have any news for us?
Yeah, we can take our time. Whatever we need to talk about, hash out, you know what I'm saying? If we got to come back again, let's do it, man. Like this is what it's about, the dialogue, like the information. You know, that's what we need to be more on in our.
Right, absolutely. I said, I was talking to Twalker, and I said that you have a very interesting story as to where you went transparent on your story once. I think it was like maybe 2 years ago. I had read your story and I was like very touched. We had no idea that you were going through all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really wanted to tap in on, because a lot of people would be afraid to make a move like that, like you did. So I wanted to tap in and ask you a couple of questions on what did that look like? How traumatic was that? And what rose grew from that concrete of just picking up and moving?
I think for me, if I don't get too metaphoric with it, it's I've been fertilized with so much trauma throughout my life that I was kind of scared to get through a moment like that. You know, I think what we need to do as art and really just as people in general is embrace those downtimes, those painful moments, and really we have to get a hold of perspective. And what I mean by getting a hold of perspective is understanding that, okay, this is painful, this is hurtful right now. Why? You know, and in that why we can transcend and grow to the next level. But if it's just, oh man, or if it's just like, you know, why me, oh my God, like the world hates me or God hates me or it's something wrong with me. It's like, it might be, the message is something might be wrong, but the message is saying that you can do something about it and you can change it and you can fix it.
Absolutely.
That was probably the key to everything right there, you know, and yeah. And then just it's so crazy being here in Atlanta. Some of my North Carolina family has like trickled their way down. Like I'm not the first, you know what I'm saying? I trickled down, you know, like there was plenty of North Carolina fam here already, you know. And but two of my A1 day ones are here now, and one of them is my boy Queens, and we have this conversation like all the time about, you know, how it was when we was coming up and how we had to stay true to the culture and we're not selling out or nothing like that, you know, like if we are like that, you know, he's still very much like that, you know. And that's one thing we appreciated about each other when we reconnected, maybe about 5 months ago. I think he got here like 5 or 6 months ago.
Okay. Well, cool. Now you have someone there. Did you have someone to go to when you first came, or was it just on your own?
It was kind of beautiful that I kind of had a little bit of a cushion, I would say, of never, you know what I'm saying, of people that was making moves out here, and that was via so many visits I had already taken to Atlanta. You know, like even though I've only lived here for like 2 years officially, I've been coming back and forth to Atlanta for like the last 12 years. You know, I knew a lot of people already, had a little bit of family here, you know, and I had performed out here countless times, you know, so it wasn't too hard to do that.
I can see that. I can see that about you because you're really outgoing. You're like electric. You're like your energy is definitely draws people into you, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? And so you know what they call that, right? It's called a superpower. Not everybody can do that.
That's my painting right here. This is a live painting somebody did at one of my features, and it's like it's like a Super Saiyan. Like,
yes, that's so you. That is so you. And like even with you, like I said, when I read that, you being very transparent on your story at one point, I always see a smile on your face. I've never seen you look sad or worried or anything of that nature. You just keep trucking, you know what I mean? And I'm super proud of you. And I think that if you will, when I think about people that I admire or that inspire me, I think that the common thread is Janelle, hey Bookie. But I think the common thread is these are the people that see, they feel the overwhelmness, if that's a word, or they feel the weight of the world, but they keep going. You know what I mean? And so, what about you? Do you think that that's the common thread with people that inspire you? Would you agree?
Absolutely. I
Mm-hmm.
say, well, when I first started my journey, before I took that big leap to really like lean on my art and my creativity, there was this one guy that I started following. His name was Les Brown,
Mm-hmm.
the motivational speaker or whatever, and he said to be successful, follow two people who are doing what it is that you want to do, and
Mm-hmm.
be at their feet, you know. And there was two people. It just so happened both of them were in Philadelphia. I wound up meeting both of them.
Mm-hmm.
My journey, but there was this guy named Jess Mike the Poet, and there was a girl named this huge singer, huge underground singer named Chris Mincy, and both of them were just awesome to me. You know, like the way they branded themselves. Like, this is how I found out Poets was going on tours and like all of this amazing. So I'm like, yo, like I can do this, bruh.
Yeah.
And following their story, they talk so much about when life wasn't the way it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Studying at their feet, you know, like
Yeah.
where and the thing is, especially Just Mike the Poet, his story really touched me because he was literally at the same struggle point. So when I see people who are ahead of me, I always have this one question that I just absolutely have to ask them, you know. And yo, shout out to my boy Twalker, yo, that's my spiritual brother. What up, G? Yo,
See what I mean about you being electric? Like, you make everybody feel good about.
yo,
Like,
no,
yes,
Twalker's the man. Like,
yeah,
in real life,
yeah,
the man. Like, it's always like you just be like,
yeah,
and it's like, and it's that reaction whether he's just regular talking or if he's freestyling. You just locked in. You just what he
exactly.
got to say, bro. Like, what y'all doing? What Soul Society doing, yo? What y'all got?
Right.
Oh shit. But yeah. Anyway, I done forgot and lost my point.
You were talking about leaning on people and saying that you can do it.
Okay, bet. I'm trying to find the link that I was making between them, him, and Just Mike the Poet. But to kind of continue, segue back into Just Mike the Poet, I
Mm-hmm.
was up performing at one of his events, opening
Mm-hmm.
at one of his events. And I asked, okay, yeah, that's what it was. Boom, that's the connection.
There we
We saw David Banner at Soul Society's event.
Yeah.
The question that I asked him as well. I always ask people who are like way ahead of their journey. When you were my age, depending on what my age is at that time, it was 27 at the time. I was like, what was you doing? What was you thinking about? You know, what was your life like? You know, and just Mike said, or David Banner was funny. He was like biting people's faces off. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get my shit together. that was hilarious. But just Mike, like he said, bro, I was sleeping in my car, driving from state to state, selling CDs and merchandise out of my trunk.
Mm.
He
At
said,
27.
you know what I'm saying? He was like,
Yeah.
I was depressed. I was, you know what I'm saying? I had all this going on. Like the fact that he was so like the thing that both of those two answers have in common is that they're extremely honest. They're
Mm-hmm.
hiding what they've been through.
Right.
They're ashamed of what they've been through. They're not using it as a crutch as to why they can't get further and get ahead. You know, it's something so freeing about being free.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, I wanted to add to that because I feel like the struggle is inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're able to share it with people, that's what makes it beautiful. You know what I mean? That's what makes that perspective of it change in your head. Like, whenever you're going through something, just take it as a part of your story right now. You know, I went through that. I got over it. I'm going to get over this again because I see a pattern here. As long as I, continue to maintain a strong mindset,
Mm-hmm.
then there is a light at the end of that tunnel. Does that make sense? So
Mm-hmm.
just make the struggle beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Can somebody like text that in there so I can pin it real quick? Make the struggle beautiful. But
And
yeah.
so,
um
like, there's so many different examples of how that struggle, that pressure creates those beautiful moments. And the easiest one
mhm.
the creation of a diamond. You know what I'm saying? A diamond is literally
Right.
black coal. It's a piece of black coal, black dirt on the ground. You know what I'm saying? That has been put under so much pressure. It has been, you know what I'm saying, pressured so tightly for so long that it literally formed like one of the brightest pieces of minerals on the planet, you know? So it's just something to keep in mind. You know, stars in the sky, they're surrounded by so much darkness.
Right.
The star is illuminating because of the darkness around it.
Woo! That man preaching. That man spitting.
It's so simple when you really start to break shit down and just like stop thinking, you know, your problems are just your problems. Like, yeah, we have our own journey, but you know what I'm saying? Everybody's capable of getting through it. Everybody's capable of learning something from the things they've been through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, I'm glad we're having this conversation. I know somebody is amen at the house tonight. Amen. Let's see. I wanted to know, what was one of your biggest challenges, like coming to Atlanta?
One of my biggest challenges coming to Atlanta? Oh my God. So I just dropped the album. It's called Yeah, Yeah, We Out Here. Yeah, Yeah, We Out Here. It's actually the world's first Instagram album. And yes.
The world's first?
It's the world's first. And I literally got to break this down.
The world's first
Album on Instagram. If each post is a track, there's 12 tracks. If you go to my IGTV, it's all synchronized, you know, together. If you just go to my page, you'll see the album cover, and each box of that cover is one of the tracks. And it features live event, you know, coordinators and poets here in Atlanta. And I guess you could say the genesis of that was me starting to drive Lyft. I started driving Lyft when I got out here. And the thing was, I was using it to make ends meet or whatever. And I kept saying in the back of my head that this isn't what I want to do, but like what I have to do in order to fund my dream, in order to really, you know what I'm saying? I'm not the type of person that just wants to wait around for an opportunity to come to me, or just keep asking for a blessing to fall out the sky, and I'm not really meeting the blessing halfway. You know, like when you fund, you know, when you go to, you're telling the universe you want to be there halfway. And what happened, like maybe 3 months into me getting here, I got into this crazy car accident, like terrible car. And I talk about it at the beginning of the album and how I had to kind of battle out of that to build up to the point where I am now. But when that happened, it was super unexpected, number one. You know? And I didn't have no place. I didn't have nothing together. Like all I had was like my license straight. Like I had a list of things to do, and cleaning up my license was one. And I had literally just did that, you know. So now I don't have no car, you know what I'm saying? Because my shit is total. Like I had to get pulled out, sent in the ambulance. You know, I couldn't do anything for like a solid month and a half. Like even if I wanted to go straight back to work, go straight back to events or whatever, I couldn't. Like I was literally bedridden, you know, for a month. And that was really hard because it was like, all right, I spent like 5-6 months really building myself up out here, you know, building my networks, you know what I'm saying, getting my name out there in the poetry community, and now I can't do shit. Like now I owe everybody because I'm like I have to borrow money over here, borrow money over there, like, you know, work something out over here on the back end, you know, and it was just like, oh my God, like, I just couldn't believe it. Like,
I can only imagine. And
the thing is, that little hump was an indicator of the major issue that I've been facing since becoming a creative entrepreneur, since going out and doing this. And that was, I didn't do a good job, or I was not taking seriously enough how overly optimistic I was about life, and as well as not preparing myself for moments like that, you know, optimistic. It's like, oh, things gonna work out, it's gonna be perfect, and then like but the unexpected things just kept beating my ass, yo. Like that's really what slowed me down. That really what goes into what you asked me earlier. The first question, as far as, you know, how was I able to emotionally get through that and all that stuff, like I wasn't, because I'm not prepared. I had not even thought about the fact that something could go wrong with me doing. I thought if I just chase my passion, everything's gonna go right because it's stuff to do. But yes, it's the right thing to do. But that doesn't mean that things aren't going to get in the way and try to short shot you and slow you down. You feel me? So that was probably the hardest lesson that I had to learn, because when God wants you to sit down, God will sit you down. You know, like when you're going through, it'll be slowed down.
Absolutely.
And on my ass.
I think that's something that I'm seeing now. Like I just entered my 30s, and I'm learning
30s.
about, and 30s, it's just like I'm just now learning about the importance of preparation. You know what I mean? Like I'm just now getting it. Like, okay, so this is what mom and dad meant by you know, the responsibilities of it all and all that good stuff, you know. And it's so crazy that up until this point, I think this is where we're seeing that we're not invincible. Does that make sense? We're now getting that glimpse, like, okay, so this is real. This is real life right now. And anything can happen at any moment, you know, and that's just how God designed it. You never know. 30-30, yes, sir. Yes. But yeah, so of course that was the challenge, like that car wreck. I heard about that, and I definitely had you in my prayers there. But I'm so glad that you're here with us today. You got through it, B-Rock, because the world needs some B-Rock, okay? Yes.
Well,
but how are you getting along with this Rona that's going on? Like, how are you staying productive and keeping a mindset of it all?
in fact, yeah. So I have an unpopular opinion about the coronavirus right now, and that is I'm in the quarantine. Like I am in quote unquote bliss right now. Like for real, for real. I'm like a kid in a candy store. Like, you mean to tell me I feel like what we have is a very rare moment in our lives where it's not like that we don't have responsibilities, because I want people to understand that, like, don't think you just can't pay your bills. Like the shit is coming around.
Right, it's coming back. It's coming back.
Get on your shit.
Collect, most definitely.
Your little blunt, get your little drink or whatever, and just sit your ass down. And while you're sitting down, so I don't think everybody's meant to be like artists or like super productive or start a business out of nowhere and like use this time to, you know, because everybody has their lane. Everybody should do what they want to do. But one thing that everybody does need to do, or that everybody does have, is a soul. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has a spirit. Everybody has karma. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has certain social debts in the world. You know what I'm saying? Whether you haven't talked to somebody in a long time, or you haven't, you know, check people you check up on. You know, everybody has some sort of normalcy, or something that is normal that should be normal to them, that isn't normal to society. And what I mean by that is, like, your job, when your bills are due, they don't care about who you haven't talked to. You know what I'm saying? They don't care about passes you haven't followed up on, you know. So you have a moment where that's on pause, and you can really focus your energy on going inward. You know, we've been so outward with everything.
So agree with
Handle this obligation, like, I hear so many people who are quote unquote successful talk about how they have all these things, but they have no time to enjoy it.
Yeah.
They have a beautiful home and they can't enjoy it. They have a nice car, but they can't. All they do is go to work and come back. You know, like, you know, it's you know, it's so important right now to go in,
yes.
Obligation.
So agree with that. I so agree with that. One of the perks of this whole thing is being still, you know, and being more present, especially with your family members. Because I don't know if people notice, but Kobe's not here no more. He out of here. His family will never see him again. Then you have to, as Charlamagne, I don't know if you listen to the Breakfast Club, but he's always talking about leaning into the uncertainty of it all. And I think that's just what it is. We don't know the outcome of this thing. So I think that it's very important to take this time to make your memories, you know, and use this as reflection. If inspiration comes for you to build a business, that's great. Being productive is great also, but try to find that balance so that you're not just sitting back. Like, I'll give you an example. Like when Facebook tells me about a memory that I have or whatever, 9 times out of 10, it's of a show that I'm promoting. And I'm just like, dang, I wish I had like a actual picture to look at, you know? And it's crazy. That's one of the things that when people, I know I have friends that don't really do events like that, or they're not an artist, they're not a performer. And that's one of the things that I do envy about them, because they have a lot of time where they're, you know, with their families, you know? And that's something that I've been, you know, thinking about over this quarantine life. So yeah, I'm glad you said that inward. Absolutely.
Go in. That's
Yeah.
it.
So a couple of silly questions that I have for you. Do your socks match right now?
Yes and no. I say yes and no because they're like pretty much the same sock, but one of them has a hole in it and one. So
I asked T that yesterday when we had went live, and his socks match. I'm like, okay. I just like to check in on that because it's like interesting to see how people just come downstairs right quick, because we in quarantine or whatever. Does your outfit match?
thing right now, boy, you can walk in a pamper. Nobody ain't gonna be able to say nothing. Like I said, you can walk around like whatever you want to do right now. Like it's all in the house.
I was ready to say, well, yes, that's exactly what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a pamper right now, actually, if you really want to know the truth.
Oh no doubt, no over here. Yeah, maybe
Right.
no draws,
It looks like,
but
well, I mean, that's an option too. Let's keep it all the way a buck. So I'm natural. I think she has a question for us. Let's read. She said, when finding people to follow that hasn't faced the struggles of becoming who they are, how do you pull the inspiration you need from them? Or do you find someone else who can relate? Who hasn't faced the same struggles of becoming? I'm assuming that you mean that they haven't walked the same shoes that you have. I'm assuming that's what you mean by that. And to be honest with you, I've been finding lately too, whenever I'm not feeling a vibe anymore in an area or in my environment, a lot of it has to do with me not having anything in common at that moment, you know. So I embrace that opportunity to um, do something else with my time, because my time is like, I don't have a lot of it when I'm working a lot. You know what I mean? So when you're in an environment and you realize that it's a downtime where you guys are not really on the same frequency, that's some time to um, get to know yourself. Like, do something that you want to do. Shoot, write a poem, write some music. And yes, I do often um, go to people where I feel like that can relate. I do often seek feedback elsewhere. It's not having to work as hard to be who they are, because some people just do it naturally. You want to take that on, B-Rock?
yeah. Uh-oh. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was got a little. But can you hear me?
Okay.
We good?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Can y'all hear me? Oh, you gave me. Okay, cool. I don't know if I really understand the nature of the question, but if I tackle it from the perspective that I think it's coming from, is like, how do you get inspiration from the people that you're following? If I kind of like just simplify. And the thing is, there's this guy named Dan Penna. He's like this long time investor or whatever, and he has this good interview where he talks about, he says, show me your 5 friends and I'll show you your future, you know. And what he means by that is, you know, the people that you hang around, the people that you give your energy to are going to really ultimately determine your outcome in life. And the reason that is because you pick up, we're very transmutable individuals. Like as people, like one of the reasons why Twalker is my spirit brother is because we had a spiritual transmutation that took place at one of their events. You feel me? And like the energy, like yo, on one level we can relate. You know what I'm saying? I've been through what you've been through. without on some level. We've seen some of the similar things, and we've taken some of the similar tactics to evade it, and we also express our past in similar ways, you know. So that transmutation took place, you know. So when you're with your friends, that's happening all the time. Y'all having spiritual transmutations all the time, you know. And it also happens with the people that you idolize or follow, or, you know, whose images you see every single day on your social media on. And the thing is, like, I think the reason, like, you have made a comment about, you know, making people feel the energy that I'm feeling, and that's because it's like a reflection thing. It's like a reciprocated thing. And importantly, it's a quality thing. And what I mean by that is, like, the people that I call my friends, it's like not like everybody. I'm not saying I can't be friends with everybody. I can't be friends with everybody. I can't be friends with Donald Trump. But
No
anyway,
one
like,
can. No one can, and that's okay.
right, and that's okay. You're not everybody's cup of tea, but you're somebody else's Hennessy depends, you know. So like, the main thing is, like, the people that I do connect with, the people that I do entertain, are very stand-up people. You know what I'm saying? They're very straightforward people. They're very honest people. They're considerate people. You know what I'm saying? They're compassionate people. You know, and it makes it easy. If you feel like you're being drained by people, it's probably because a lot of those people aren't, one, meant to be in your life, or two, you get given to yourself without having some of them being given to you, you know. And like, I have this one friend here in Atlanta. So I'll be doing Lyft or whatever. That's what the album is based around, my Lyft rides or whatever. And so I'll be doing rides with people in the community, and I was taking her to some obligation, and she was talking about last year. She felt like she was giving so much of herself that her skin started falling off of her face.
Oh
And she
my
literally
gosh. Oh.
treatments and stuff like that to, you know, get back to healthy or whatever. But she was talking about how drained she was of giving herself to so many people. And when you're giving and you're not being inspired in some way, you know, you set yourself up for, you know, an unbalanced level of success, you know. And that's in my brand and my career now, is helping people, or using my journey as an example to help people transcend that balance. You know what I'm saying? Because the same thing can happen with your art and your fans and stuff like that. It's like, okay, you want to give them this, give them that, give them the food, give them everything, but you have to be reciprocated. There has to be an exchange of energy there. You know what I'm saying? It can't be you just giving, and you're not getting anything out of it besides money, besides fame. You know what I'm saying? There has to be.
Yeah. Going to what you said, because that's what I was thinking the entire time. Like when you started talking about that, I generally gravitate towards people who are genuine, and that's like that word. Like, think about what I said, genuine. That means that, like you just said, it has nothing to do with what you can give back to me or things of that nature. There's no animosity because of you know, how people get jealous of you for maybe looking this way, or, you know, their position in life and all that good stuff. I generally gravitate towards people who are very genuine. Like my best friend Fernanda. You know Fernanda. Like this girl's energy. I have never met a more genuine person, and then caring and thoughtful person. Now, I'm not thoughtful, but she is very thoughtful. She's the epitome of thoughtful. You know what I mean? And I accept that. It's okay. I'm not very thoughtful when it comes to like gifts and stuff like that, but I'm working on it. I mean, you can work on stuff, right?
Right. Hey, look, it's a journey.
Right. You can understand your flaws. That's a good question though. Like, what do you think is your biggest flaw?
My biggest flaw, I think my biggest flaw right now, I'm gonna share what used to be my biggest flaw, but it's not anymore, and I've transformed to my new biggest flaw. My new biggest flaw now is that I don't think I have any big flaws anymore. Because the thing,
that's a flaw.
You have to be paranoid. You have to always wonder, like, what could be changed, what could be done better. And it's like, I'm more just kind of growth mindset, scaling things up now, as opposed to making them better. It's like, I know what makes it better. Let's do this to make it better, you know. But I would say what used to be my biggest flaw, and I think this is something that what a lot of people struggle with, is the thin line between being considerate of others and too considerate of others. You know, I think I hit a period where I was just like, I felt like I was too considerate. You know what I'm saying? I felt like I was really putting too energy into people, you know, into certain people, you know, and it wasn't, you know, there was, and it's like I wasn't seeing it, you know, it was only in retrospect. I was a dumbass. Why was I in that relationship? Why was I
And
doing
you
this?
know
Why
what?
was
A
I
lot of
doing
people
business?
think that. Yeah, a lot of people
Right.
when you talk to people, they always say like, I think I did too much, you know, and that's like human nature to people with souls do that, you know. They try to look out for people. Like if you don't,
Right.
I mean, if you're not doing that, I mean, where's your soul at? Did you leave it at home? You didn't bring just a little bit of it in your pocketbook? Like, where is it at?
Mhm.
But
And,
I'm definitely glad you spoke on that. There was something else. Like my biggest flaw that I think for myself would be like being in my head often. I literally had to put a post-it note at my work desk, and I put on it, I was like, I am here now, to remind myself that I am here now. Not in that the thoughts that I'm like continue, like I'm on a thought continuum all the time in my head. Even while I'm working, like on autopilot working, I'm like thinking about a whole bunch of stuff and not
yeah,
really realizing or being aware of the present moment. Does that make sense?
absolutely,
It's
absolutely.
that's something that's like really hard to work on too, especially when it's a mental thing. I've always been that way. I even told my sister about this when I was riding down to Maryland. Um, I told her that the reason why I zone out in conversation, people always say I'm zoning out and like, where were you? I said this. You don't remember I said it? And the reason why I do that is because a lot of the times I'm going through a new experience. So
Hmm.
think about a baby when they first see something for the first time, they're just like, and they want to like, and then they go
Right.
into this thought continuum, and then that takes them away from the present moment. So it's something that I'm just trying to be more aware of. You know, I think that your flaws, as long as you're aware of them, then can't nobody hold it against you, like the Eminem effect. You know?
I
Yeah.
honestly think where it is, and maybe that's, I shouldn't call it so much of my flaw. It's just the fact that I'm so aware of the things that I need to work on, and I'm actively working on them.
Mhm.
That feels like, you know, wow, like Super Saiyan, like I'm a Super Saiyan, like, and really be just the shit. Like
Mhm.
have to really wrap their minds around that. So like the next level of being too considerate is going to the other extreme and thinking that everybody's out to get you and you can't be considerate of nobody anymore because nobody's considerate. So
Mhm.
I feel like we
Right.
kind of hit we swing back and forth on that pendulum, right? Because it's like, oh
Absolutely.
yeah, the world can't do wrong. Oh no, the world only does wrong. And it's like, no, there's like a middle ground that you got to live at. You know, you got to live in that space right there. Yeah.
Because it's a certain violation, like when somebody does something, they disrespect you in a way. By disrespect, I mean they do something to you that you would never do to them, you know? So you feel
Mm-hmm.
violated and you feel like, how did I let them get me like that? So you feel that, but you also have to be mindful that this is going to happen. It's not going to be the first time it happens. It's going to happen often. You can learn from your mistakes, but you also have to know that it's inevitable. You know what I mean? I'll give you an example. When I was working on A Night of Bliss, I think you did one of my Night of Bliss, didn't you? Maybe,
One of the
or maybe you came to
nicest,
one.
what was the name of that place that's sold, like, I don't think they was selling tacos. There was like tacos and nachos. I just remember nachos. I remember places by
The
food.
Blind Tiger. Did you come to that one at the Blind Tiger?
Blind Tiger. Was that the Blind Tiger? I think it was the Blind Tiger. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, I feel like I remember you being there, but for that show, I had a lot of people involved with it. I mean, I had band, I had dancers, I had so many people involved with it. And one of the things that I struggled with the most was trying to get people to show up on time or show up at all, you know, because not your dream, then you don't really give two shits about it. You know what I mean? And so that was a learning lesson for me. Like nobody sees the vision like you do, and nobody's going to care about it as much as you do. So I would
Mm-hmm.
vent a lot to my friends about what I was going through in that particular moment. And then one of my dancers, she was like, you know what, Kara? She like cut me off because I think she was tired of me venting about it. But she was like, you know what, Bliss? You're never gonna find an entire team that you're gonna be able to rely on. And I
Yeah.
was like, for real? For real? You see people do it on TV and so that they make it look so easy, like putting together shows and stuff like that. And I was
Right.
like, you know what? You're probably right. I will never find an entire team that's like 100% gonna help me out with some of these projects. So you just gotta keep trucking. Like we full circle back around what we talked about earlier today, holding that weight and just keep on moving with it, you know?
Yeah, because even though they might not give 100% of what you really need in the vision or see your vision 100%, they can see it 50%. And
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, you can control that 50%. They're going to get 50% of your 100%. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever your amount of confidence is in it, whatever you've done with it so far,
Ooh,
half
yes.
that. So you can
Mm-hmm.
control that half if you can
Mm-hmm.
control your output and your desire and your effort and your believability in what you're doing. So they're not gonna get it 100, but they can get 50. So you got to make sure that 50 is goddamn a large chunk of 100. You feel me? So yeah,
Yes.
I have a poem about
You
that.
said exactly. Got to keep pushing. Man, I'm in here having a praise break. Amen. Amen. Like I will start doing a little shake or dance, you know what I mean? Because I mean, you're absolutely right. People, if you're 100% in they'll give you at least 50%. That means you got to take it to 200% to get that 100%. You know what I mean? And that means maybe up in your professionalism, maybe up in your communication skills, maybe up in your ability to seek out quality team members. You know what I mean? So, yes, yes. This is such a great conversation, man. We got 4 people in the live. People been coming in and out. It's been a good couple of people coming in and out of this conversation, but I want to open up the floor to our listeners right now to ask any questions before we close out.
Pops, Fitz.
Hey
Yeah, we
guys.
out here. We out milk.
My girl Brooke is in here.
Yeah. Yes, I'm
Panda
part of this.
Man came through.
I'm a part of this organization. I call it a secret poetry society, but it's an organization, and it's called VIP. Village Inspired Poets. And some of the things we're talking about now are the things we seek to tackle in our communities. Whether it's starting here in Atlanta and expanding to nationwide, to international, whatever. But these are some of the things we're talking about are the things that we seek to guide artists and creative entrepreneurs in their journeys with, like how to choose the right people, how to, utilize the resources around you, how to utilize the network, how to, continue to grow and master your craft and build yourself up, how to be a part of a movement that is not only about the moment, the actual movement, like, we really, as people, we got to start thinking more of a long-term plans. I think we live in a microwave generation now. Like everybody wants everything instantly. Everybody wants everything to come overnight. But that's not how shit happens. Like we go back to the diamond metaphor. Like that diamond isn't made overnight. Like this is like time has to pass under that pressure in order for that diamond to be made. So people can't be afraid of time. And that's what we do. We kind of make the time a lot easier on people. VIP. Shout out to VIP. Who the leader? We the leader. Yeah. But that's I'm throwing up gang signs and shit. I'm sorry. I ain't mean to ratchet.
No, you're great. You're great. This was such a dope conversation, B. We got to do this live again because I'm sure that other keys that we can spread to our
Oh,
people, our
oh, yeah.
listeners, our followers. I really appreciate you coming on Bliss
I appreciate
Talk Quarantine Edition today. And I hope our followers and listeners enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, it'll be posted in my live, in my stories. And you guys, I know I'm getting some of your followers too on here. So you guys can go ahead and give me a follow. And if you're not following Mr. B Rock, you need to be following him because he's dope. I mean, we just, every time we see each other, he's like, you're like a celebrity. And then I'm like, but you're legendary. And then we just have this moment, like, we're just like geeking on each other. This was beautiful. Y'all, everybody, yeah, yeah. Love, I always love the energy. But people, make the struggle beautiful. It is what it is. Just make it beautiful though. Put a little hot sauce on it. Just or put a little brand aid.
Dude, that's a t-shirt. Put some hot sauce on the struggle.
Put some hot sauce on that struggle.
Oh my God. That shit. Oh my God. That's inspiring.
Let's team up on that. That could be our business together. Let's partner with that. Put some hot sauce on the struggle.
I like it.
I like it.
That.
You might be laughing, but I'm dead ass. You know, we entrepreneurs out here. We trying to get the multiple incomes and stuff. But yeah, we can have that t-shirt, make the struggle beautiful t-shirt. We can have the hot sauce, put some hot sauce on that struggle. Yes. All right, man. Well,
yo,
have a good night. This was dope.
A privilege. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes. I must bow down to the legend. That is Mr. P. Rock.
Doing it. Thank you. Appreciate you so much for this.
No problem. Thank you for coming. All right, y'all. Adios.